Hello, good morning. So I wanted to share with you about toxic people and the key skills of manipulation, because toxic people, let's just face it, are the masters of manipulation. To understand some of the skills that they use could be quite beneficial, so I thought I'd make this video and share with you. First thing that they do, I'm going to go on relationships. So let's just say toxic relationships here. We're not going to do toxic parents or whatever. We're going to do toxic relationships. So toxic relationships, whether you're with a narcissist or a sociopath or a psychopath or whatever it is, a toxic relationship is a toxic relationship. The first thing they do is boundaries and testing. Now, this is where they like to see exactly what they can get away with you. So it's always important, first things first, right? When you're, if you're in a relationship with these kinds of people, it's a choice. You don't have to be there. It's a choice for you to be in that relationship. Now, you always have to make sure you have some hard ground boundaries, and you do not overstep them boundaries. You do not let the other person overstep them boundaries. From day one of that relationship, you have to list your boundaries, okay? And they will test you on it. One of the second things that they do when they've tested your boundaries is something called gaslighting. Now, this is a way to step you away from your own reality. So it's a way for them to get into your head. Now, this can be a really dangerous tactic of manipulation because it steers you away from your own reality. And I've been in this position myself in the past and it's really, really not nice. And it takes a long time to kind of to get out of it and to understand reality all over again. So this is not a nice tactic, but being aware of it will be really beneficial. So gaslighting is where they say things like, that did not happen, you're crazy, you've dreamt it, you've imagined it, something like that, to step you away from your reality. Always, it's important to resist the gaslighting and be grounded to your own reality. Okay. Number three, something called projection. Now, a toxic person will never ever see themselves for who they are or their own flaws, or they will not face their own demons, basically. So what they will do is they will reflect or project their flaws, their imperfections, their fears, their insecurities. They will project that on you. Do not own their projection, because that is not your responsibility. Another thing they do is something called word salad. Now, this is a really clever manipulative technique, and this is only really used when needed. This is like a first aid, DIY kit. So when you've sussed them out, or they've told you a lie and you're about to confront them with that lie because you're aware, they're straight in with the word salad. A word salad is to get you off guard. Now, word salad, for example, is something like, the cow gave birth to a monkey, they all drank lemonade and danced around the tree. Now, straight away, obviously, that's disorientated speech. It's absolute mumbo jumbo. But it takes you off guard from what you were thinking about or about to say in the first place. That is called word salad. It's a very clever manipulative technique. Another thing they do is something called blanket statement and generalisation. Now, this is where they generalise everything you say in a blanket statement and not take into account your perspective. So they will never take your perspective into account, only their own. Another thing they do is when you finally soul part and you've walked away from that relationship because they cannot control you no more, you're fully aware of everything that they're doing, and you've just gained pretty much enough love and respect for yourself, and you are fully aware of what you do and do not deserve, and when you're fully healed and ready to move on from that toxic relationship, and we all do get to that point eventually, some take longer than others, but eventually you do get to that point where you realise what you're worth, what you're going to stand for, what you do not stand for, what love is, what love isn't, all these things that bounce around. When you're aware and you're healed and you're ready to move on from that toxic relationship, because you have no more insecurities to stay with that person, they do something called smear campaign, and this is where they cannot control you anymore, so they try and control how the rest of the world sees you. Now, that's just a few important, I would like to think, keys to manipulation that toxic people use. I hope that this video has been helpful. I am Stephanie. I am still at work. Thank you and goodbye.